Let's talk about something we almost never talk about when it comes to heaven. Have you ever stopped and wondered if heaven is the exact same experience for every single person who gets there? We kind of have this picture of a single uniform paradise. But what if it's way more personal, more dynamic? And what if it's directly tied to the life you're living right now? Today, we're going to dive into this really fascinating idea from our source material, the concept that heaven isn't a one-size-fits-all deal. So let's just put the question right out there. Is heaven an identical experience for all? Well, according to the source for this explainer, the answer is a really profound and kind of surprising no. And honestly, understanding why could change how you see, well, pretty much everything. This right here, this one sentence, is the whole idea that challenges our normal way of thinking. It's suggesting that while, yeah, the destination is the same, this incredible place of joy and peace, our individual experience of that place is going to be different. And that difference isn't random. It's a direct result of our actions here on Earth. Okay, so if heaven isn't the same for everyone, what does that actually look like? This isn't about some people getting a better heaven. The source really frames it as a matter of justice and recognition. The idea that a life of service, of sacrifice, of faithfulness, that it's all seen and it's honored. It suggests there's a system of different degrees of reward. This slide kind of breaks down the different ways our eternal experience can vary. The source material suggests that the things we value here on Earth, like wealth or honor or recognition, they actually have a perfect eternal counterpart. It's not about earthly stuff, of course, but a deeper spiritual reality. So, for example, the honor given to someone who really endured hardship for their faith is going to be different from someone who kind of had an easy go of it. Now, to really get our heads around this, the source points us to a classic story from the Bible, the parable of the talents. And trust me, this isn't just some ancient tale. It's a super powerful illustration of how our actions, the risks we take, and how faithful we are with what we've been given have huge consequences.
The story starts out simple enough. You've got a master, he gives his money to 3 servants, and then he takes off on a long trip. But it's what 2 of these servants choose to do that reveals this really deep truth about our own lives, our potential, and ultimate accountability. And just look at this. The difference on the slide is just night and day, right? On one side, you have the servant who's totally faithful. He gets right to work, invests his master's money, and doubles it. But on the other side, you've got a servant who's totally driven by fear. He plays it safe, he literally buries his talent in the ground and produces absolutely nothing. The difference in their mindset is everything.
This is where it gets really intense. The master's reaction to the guy who played it safe is shockingly harsh. He's not called prudent or careful. Nope. He's labeled wicked and lazy. According to the source, this isn't just about money. It's a powerful statement against squandered potential and living a life based on fear instead of faith. But for the servant who took the risk and did the right thing, the praise is just incredible. He's called good and faithful, and he's invited to share in the master's own joy. The message here is crystal clear. One path leads to a rebuke and loss. The other leads to reward, recognition, and a much deeper relationship. So, what does this ancient story have to do with us right now? To make that connection, the source gives us this brilliant modern metaphor that makes the whole idea super tangible. It asks us to think of our lives as if we're making contributions to an eternal bank account. The big takeaway here is that our actions on Earth are basically spiritual investments. Every act of kindness, every moment you choose to be faithful when it's hard, every sacrifice you make for the right reasons, it's like making a deposit into an account that pays out not in dollars, but in eternal honor and joy. And the source gives us this really simple, easy-to-remember phrase, put it in the bank. It's such a powerful little mental trigger. When you do something that has eternal value, you're not just doing a good deed. You are actively investing in your future. It's a reminder of the long-term impact of your daily choices. So naturally, this leads to the most important question, right? If we've got this eternal bank account, how in the world do we make deposits? Well, the source doesn't leave us guessing. It gets really practical and lays out 4 specific ways. Okay, let's just run through these. First, having the guts to stand up for what you believe, especially when it's not popular. Second, doing good things without needing anyone to notice or give you credit. The reward comes from a higher source. Third, practicing this crazy generosity towards people who can't ever pay you back. And finally, maybe the biggest investment of all, playing a role in helping more people get to heaven. So as we pull this all together, you start to see the real motivation behind this whole idea. It's not about being greedy and trying to rack up celestial points for yourself. It's about living for an audience of one and hoping for that final verdict on a life well lived. And the central message is really just this. Our present matters infinitely. Those small choices, the hidden acts of kindness, the times you stand up for what's right, they're not forgotten. According to the source, they are the very threads that are weaving the fabric of our eternal reality. And it all comes down to this single, powerful goal, to hear those two words, well done. It completely shifts your focus from what you can get to who you're trying to become. So the question this explainer leaves us with is this: what does a well-done life look like for you? And what deposit are you going to make into that eternal account today?